Welcome to the Leanne Aligned podcast. Here we talk about all things mystical, mysterious, and a little taboo. If you're interested in diving deep, going off the beaten path, and learning tools to help you fully embrace the soul-aligned life that you came here to live, then this podcast is for you. Let's open our hearts, expand our minds, and tap into the magic that lives within all of us. I'll see you there. Hello, my beautiful creative souls, and welcome back to the Leanne Aligned podcast. Today, I am bringing you a topic that is going to be somewhat confronting, possibly controversial, but deeply aligned with where we're headed, where I'm headed, the topics and conversations that we're going to be having as we move into more of the fall season. And really a overall theme that I'm seeing in the collective, especially as I'm watching my students go through my recent program, the Pleasure Playbook, and within exploring the depths of their pleasure, a lot of them, and myself included when I went through the process, but this is so affirming of the power of this program to see my students go through it as well, is when we begin to deepen our relationship with the things in our life that we love, the things that give us life, the things that bring us pleasure, the original mission and assignment of what we came here to experience and to do and create, that when we start to unlock that box, all kinds of shadows and things that we have been putting in the corner, pieces of ourselves that we've been ignoring, things that we deemed inappropriate or wrong, old stories, etc., begin to come to the surface to be healed in order to pave a pathway for this pleasure. So today I want to talk about the toxicity of law of attraction and really the new age positivity movement that has really come to a head, I feel, within the past few years, and why I think these things play a role within the manifestation process, but when they are taken to an extreme or isolated as the only focus, how they can really actually be quite destructive and derailing to the progress of building the life that we want and the relationship with ourselves that we want, and actually manifesting and bringing about the things that we desire to bring about into this world. As I go through this podcast episode, this talk, the thoughts that I want to share with you, I'm not desiring to call anyone out as wrong. I'm not trying to put down anyone that preaches law of attraction, that teaches law of attraction, that teaches positivity. And this is not a personal attack. I just want to address this topic as a whole and to express that I actually deeply believe in these concepts and their place within the manifestation process. But I think that when we take them out of balance, when we only focus on one side of ourselves or one way of being or one way of looking at things, that it creates a toxic way of being and is not conducive to us as a whole, to keeping the integrity of what we are here to build and share, and open up a conversation as to how we can bring these things back into balance and how we may have gotten derailed in our progress of manifestation, of building a life that we desire, if we have been overly saturated with these particular messages or ways of thinking. So without further ado, there's your little disclaimer. If you're feeling like you're not in a position to hear this right now, I invite you to go ahead and hop off and join me for the next episode. But if you're ready to dive in, then let's do it. First, let's talk briefly about what manifestation is. Manifestation simply means to bring something into the physical form. It is literally just the act of taking something that was once an idea and bringing it to life in physical form. This can be as simple as making your dinner. You have an idea of what you want to eat. You gather your ingredients. You do the steps necessary to prepare them. And then you put them together into a physical form that at the end is a whole meal. And that whole meal is the manifestation of the meal, right? But it started out as an idea, as a craving, as something that was only in your mind. It didn't exist on the physical plane yet. So that is all manifestation is. Now let's talk about what the law of attraction is. The law of attraction is one of the 12 laws of the universe. Yes, I said one of 12. Now we're not going to go over all 12. I may mention a couple more as we continue our conversation, but it is one of the 12 laws of the universe. And the law of attraction is the concept that what you put out into the universe, what you expend energy on, what you put out, whether that be thoughts, whether that be actions, etc., whatever you put out, you get back something of likeness in exchange. Like attracts like. Now, I'm not denying that this law exists. I firmly believe that you kind of get back what you put out. Some people would call this karma as well. The law of attraction can also be, expressed as karma. Although that's its own thing, but that's neither here nor there. That's another conversation. But I want to be clear that I absolutely believe in the law of attraction. Law of attraction is where I started my spiritual journey. I started by listening to Abraham Hicks, my lovely Aunt Jeannie. She would get the CDs when I was a kid, and still does, I believe, of their kind of events that they would hold, answering questions, listening to talks. And while I don't listen to them as much anymore, I still absolutely will pull them up from time to time when I'm feeling called and dive back into their teachings, because what they're doing, the movement that they're trying to create within humanity, is absolutely needed and necessary. And I believe that they are really a catalyst for beginning to have some type of spiritual awakening. It's a very approachable form of getting people to start thinking about their conscious actions, the way they're thinking about things, the way they're speaking about things, and observing how their life and their things that manifest in their life react to what they're putting out there, right? So I want to be really clear. Like I said, this is a law, and there's room for this work, and it absolutely needs to be done. And it's something that I still use within my manifestation process. I believe in it wholeheartedly. However, what I want to say is it is only one tiny piece to the puzzle. And what I've seen as a wave within the collective themes that have gone on in the past few years is that the law of attraction has been watered down and distilled to a point where it can become unhelpful because it is coupled with the toxic positivity aspect where people are beginning to teach this concept and drink in this concept in a way that is toxic and misaligned and skewed, and not taking on the picture of manifestation as a whole. So let's dive into some of these issues that I've seen when this law of attraction is used in an out of balance way, right? Because that's really what this is all about. There's a balance to anything in the universe, right? We can see this when we talk about things that we should eat, right? Everything in moderation, right? Too much of a good thing is still too much. And there needs to be some sort of balance. So let's dive into the different ways or points when law of attraction can become toxic. When we're looking at the idea of the law of attraction, it is very often taught that we just need to think positive thoughts, and positive thoughts will happen to us. Positive things will happen to us. And that if we ever think a bad thought, that is equally matched with something bad. And when this is out of balance, it creates this fear of experiencing anything that is not positive, right? It makes us fearful of having thoughts that aren't 100% aligned with what we want. It makes us upset with ourselves for having things like doubt or anger or sadness, or sometimes can even drive us away from desiring what we want, because we see this experience of the quote unquote negative contrast as something that's going to bring us harm. And as someone that teaches a holistic point of view, especially you saw this in my last episode where we talked about embracing your cyclical nature and each piece of that in the ebbs and flows and the ups and downs of your life, right? This can be really detrimental. It can lead us into a path of all kinds of other things, but in its worst manifestation, I believe that it actually separates us from who we are at our essence, and it almost numbs us to what's around us, right? When we're so afraid to feel any type of negative emotion, we numb it out and we cover it up with positivity band-aids, right? If we start to have kind of a negative thought, we're like, oh, don't think that, like everything's fine, just it's all good, like love and light. But it's in the shadows where we begin to heal and then actually align ourselves in a more holistic way to the thing that we are trying to get to. Which brings us to my next point. Often in law of attraction or manifestation practices or courses that are around this particular thing, you'll hear it taught a lot that if your manifestation is not coming to fruition, so if the thing that you want, that you've been trying to put out into the universe as, hey, I would like this, I'm ready for this, I desire this, please bring me more of this. If that is not in your life, then you have a block. You have something in yourself that's not in alignment with that. That you need to get rid of your limiting beliefs that you're the problem, right? And that's why this isn't coming. Now, again, there's truth to all of these pieces, right? But when we get into this space and we see ourselves solely as the problem, and we approach it with, again, I just need to be more positive. I just need to be a better person. I just need to fix whatever's broken in me so that I can be worthy of my desire. This creates an idea that is actually perpetuated within the traditional Christian religion. I can't speak to others because I did not grow up in others, but in the Christian religion that I was raised in, we were taught that you were born a sinner, right? You were born bad, with bad tendencies, with evil in you, and that the original human, Adam and Eve, mostly Eve, but that's a different topic for another time, fucked it up for you because they created the first sin, and now you're all sinners, and you must sacrifice and beg for forgiveness and repent and fix what's wrong with you so that you can become worthy of God's love, of the life that God intended for you. And this is the bone that I have to pick. You are worthy upon arrival. Period. You came as a soul into the physical body, regardless of what religion you subscribe to, belief system, wherever you believe that the source that you came from is. The theme and the fact still remains that you are a soul that came to live a life in a physical body. And that moment that you arrived on this earth to fulfill and to manifest and to create and to play out the creation of your desires, of your original assignment, of what you came here to do. You didn't come unworthy. You arrived worthy of all of it. All of it. And I'm getting a little emotional, but that is because I believe so strongly in this. And I feel this so deeply. And if this is something that you have felt in your life, either right now or in the past, that you were not worthy, that there was something wrong with you, that you needed to make up for some shit that didn't even exist in order to have what it is that you want, then I want you to take the invitation to absorb this affirmation that you are worthy upon arrival. You are worthy because you are. Period. End of story. Just I'll take a minute. I invite you to put your hand over your heart. Take a deep breath in and sigh it out. Deep breath in and out. If you really want to anchor this in, you can tap on your heart a little bit. Shake out any energy that you stirred up in your body. And we're going to move on in a minute. But I just wanted to take a moment to honor the bigness of what that is, if that resonated with you, because it certainly resonates with me on a deep level. And even me just sharing the message with you moves the energy within me and aligns me deeper into my purpose every time I share it. So thank you for taking this moment with me. I'm going to take a sip of my smoothie here, and then we're going to get back on track. I just have a couple more quick points of when I think that this becomes toxic, and then we're going to roll into how we bring this back into balance, how we can look at all of these concepts and use both the law of attraction and the balance of the other side of it to actually move us towards our manifestations, okay? So the next toxic out of balance trait that the law of attraction perpetuates is this idea of the wishing well, that action is not necessary to get your desires. And in this moment, I'd like to share another law, another universal law out of the 12, and that is the law of action. If we think to science, right, we were taught that every action has an equal and opposite reaction. With the idea that, right, if you push, water away from you, the water comes back to you. Things like that. And what can happen when we're too in this, I must align my thoughts to magnetize the thing that I desire to me, right, and be receptive to that. Often when we get stuck in that mindset, we view it as the same concept as a wishing well, right? If you think of a wishing well, you take your coins or whatever you're going to throw in there, you come to the wishing well, you make a wish, you throw it in, and you forget about it. And you just expect that it's going to magically appear, right? It's the same idea as saying, I hope I win the lottery. and then never buying a ticket. Now, this may be a bad example because I think that the lottery is a complicated conversation when it comes to manifestation, but it's an easy example of how there is an action involved or required even to get this thing that we desire to be a possibility for us, to come to us. And what's bad about this is when, right, where we're only wishing. We're just saying, hey, universe, I want this thing. So I'm just going to think happy thoughts and do good deeds. And then you deliver it on my doorstep. Okay. And then when we don't get it, we're like, well, what the hell? It doesn't work. This is perpetuated, I think, very much in terms of vision boards. And vision boards have their own power, and I have my own opinion on this and the way to make them work. And it's a whole thing, again, a topic for another time. If I say that a bunch in episodes and you want a topic on it, and you would like me to discuss the actual topic, please go ahead and send me a DM or leave it in the comments. And I would be happy to expand on that, knowing that that's something that you're interested in. Side note there. But a lot of people will make a vision board at the beginning of the year, right? And they put on things. They're like, oh yeah, wouldn't it be cool if I was like a millionaire and I owned this fancy car and I did all of my health and wellness goals and I looked like this and I did that and I was this type of person. And then they forget about it, right? They don't take the action necessary to make that thing a reality. They just say, well, I put it on the vision board, so like the universe is working on it. And again, there's some truth to each of these, but when we only just put the wish out there, we're setting ourselves up for failure. We still need to take action. And then the last one that I would like to touch on may be a little touchier than any of the other ones I've mentioned so far, but this one I really want to say this and share this with you. The law of attraction does not excuse or explain away people treating you like shit. We can often fall into this trap when we're thinking that everything we put out is attracting like back to us. That if someone is treating us badly, if someone is not respecting our boundaries, if they're shitting all over us, if there's a toxic dynamic, right? That we somehow brought it into our reality, that we called it to ourselves. Now, again, in some scenarios, there's always a way in which this can be somewhat true, right? There's something that's matching the frequency. But this shouldn't be used as a way to excuse someone else's inexcusable behavior towards you and leave you feeling powerless to do nothing about it. The one thing I teach above anything else when I teach manifestation is the fact that manifesting requires you to take back your power to make shit happen and to create the vision that you desire for yourself. And if you don't take your power back to do that, you're not going to be able to manifest the life that you desire. And I think this is a beautiful time to segue into why these contrast moments, why these quote unquote negative things, why the shit that hurts, the shit that's hard, the shit that goes wrong, why all of that is actually an equally essential and important piece as the positivity and within the law of attraction, right? When you put something out into the universe to manifest, The law of attraction will bring you scenarios that aligns you with the path that you need to walk in order to take the journey to the manifestation that you are desiring. And oftentimes, that requires us to do some deep healing work. And this deep healing work can be very uncomfortable. It can be hard. Manifesting our desires invites us to push our boundaries, to morph and change so that we can become more of what we need to become in order to ascend, to rise up, to step into, to become more of who we are, so that we can then live out the manifestation, the actual feeling in physical form that we are desiring to bring about. So if you are desiring to, let's go back to the toxic boundary example, right? Because I feel like this is very real for all of us. And there's times where we're all called to uphold our own boundaries, to decide where the line in the sand is of this is what I will tolerate and this is what I won't tolerate. And this is where my worth is, and you will not impede upon that worth or there will be consequences. Now, a little caveat here, because I am touching upon this, there are definitely some very life-threatening types of situations where these boundaries between us and others can be being infringed upon. And I encourage you, if you find yourself in one of these situations where your life is actually in danger, to please reach out to some type of hotline support, friends, family, to remove yourself from the situation. I never want to say in that particular kind of scenario that you should be poking the bear and putting yourself in further danger. That is not what I want to perpetuate at all. And please do, if you find yourself in some type of scenario like this, reach out, get the help that you need to get yourself out of this situation so that you can be safe, okay, before you start to implement these boundaries. But for the rest of us, a lot of the times these aren't life or death, right? There are things like the annoying coworker or the toxic family member, right? And their behavior is perpetuated by our repeated failure to uphold our own boundaries. So going back to the example, okay? So let's say that you are desiring to live somewhere where you don't get interrupted all the time. Let's say you have a family member, or maybe you have work that's calling you all the time on the phone to do things outside of work, or you have friends that suck up a lot of your time, right? In order to manifest your desire of having this alone time, of having your peace, of being left alone, we are then called to make the decision, right? Because we always have the sovereignty to make the choice. But when these boundaries are infringed upon, we have the choice to perpetuate the interruption and continue to stay in that situation and manifest more of what we don't want. Or we have the option to take our power back, right? To say, this is where the line is for me. This is what's going on for me. This is how I see what you're doing. And there are times in which I'm happy to engage in with you, right? If it's the boss, then you're happy to answer them when you're on the clock during work hours. If it's a friend, you're happy to set aside, time every week to speak with them. If it's a family member, maybe there's a time each day where you can set aside some time to catch up with them. But in this particular stretch of time, while I'm doing this time is for me, and this is a boundary that you will not cross. and I will not tolerate you crossing it. And if you try to cross it, I'm going to let you know that hey, we're not doing this. This is me time. This is important for me. You're important to me too. And I would love to engage with you about this topic or this conversation or doing this thing or going this place. But this is not the time and place for that. And through becoming the type of person who exercises these boundaries, right? Who recognizes your own worth, who puts this into place, you then manifest what you've been trying to do. And that's not to say it's not going to be hard, especially if this is something you've never done before, right? It's going to be hard. Some people are going to react negatively. There's going to be a lot of doubts and other things that you have to personally work through and heal with your relationship and say, is this integrity? Is this in integrity for me? Is this something that I would like to implement, that I would like to do? And if it's not, then maybe you don't do it again. But choosing to do that, right, even though it's hard, it builds us up into more of our power and allows us to manifest the life that we want to live. So I hope that example helps. And there's, of course, a million more examples that I could give you. But I don't want to keep us here all day. This is already getting to be a lengthy episode. But back to my original point, right? In order to manifest our desires, we are called up to become more of who we are. And that shit is hard sometimes. Some of it is peaches and roses, right? Some of it's really easy. Sometimes when we're on to our manifestation, we got synchronicities happening and things are clicking into place. And we're like, fuck yeah, let's go. We're doing the damn thing. And then other times it feels like digging through the trenches. But often when we're digging through the trenches, right, as long as we're open and understanding that as part of the process, we can still be seeing those synchronicities. We can still be seeing messages from Spirit that are telling us we're on the right track. And to embrace these parts of ourselves that need to be healed, right? Oftentimes, connecting with our deepest wounds and beginning to look at them and heal them is how we create massive manifestations. And the reason I say healing rather than removing blocks or fixing limiting beliefs is because oftentimes these quote unquote blocks or limiting beliefs are actually coping mechanisms or stories that we have developed and over time told ourselves to protect a part of ourselves that was deeply wounded and hurt in some way. And sometimes these are even things that served us in the past, that helped us survive to get to where we are now. And in order to tell our body, to tell our brain, to tell our soul that we are no longer in this space and we're in a place where we are safe to move forward and step into more of our power to manifest what we want, we must first acknowledge the hurt and begin to heal it, to bring it back into balance. Having hurt, having things to heal does not make us wrong. In fact, we don't heal by getting rid of past hurt. We heal by shining a light on it, by saying, hey, I see you. I understand you. I'm empathizing with you. I have compassion towards you, and I'm pouring love onto you. And I want to take your hand and I want to lead you into the future with me because I know that it's safe to move forward now. I know that it's safe to move through this hard shit and to leave the past in the past and find a way to use this hurt as a newfound strength to move forward into more of who I am, to move forward and be who I came here to be, to move forward and live the life that I came here to live upon arrival, because, woo, I am worthy. I am worthy. I am worthy. And so we heal. We heal to make ourselves whole. Deep breath in. As we move forward with the podcast, with the teachings, with Instagram, with all of the things that I share with you, with the programs that I'm going to be sharing with you, and the free resources and all of that. As we move forward into the fall, we're going to be shifting focus into these topics. We're going to be talking about shit nobody wants to talk about. We're going to be talking about shadow work and manifestation and holding ourselves in the hurt and money and all of these other things that people see as wrong, as taboo, that should not be brought to the table, because God damn it, we're going to bring them to the table because they deserve a seat. They deserve a seat at the table because they are part of the story. They are part of us. They are part of who we are. The ups and the downs, the goods and the bads, the joy and the sorrow. It's all part of us and our human experience, and it makes us who we are, and it informs the way that we see the world, and it informs the way that we move forward. And we don't have to see the bad, the negative, the quote unquote unpositive as bad, as things that we should eradicate, as things that don't belong, as pieces of ourselves that are unworthy, right? These are often called shadow, and we'll have a whole topic about shadow work later. But I just want to emphasize the point that law of attraction, positivity, putting your wishes out into the world, trying to do good, right? Getting back what you put into the world. All of these positive things have a place, and they're necessary, and we need them, and they're essential for moving forward. But they're only half the fucking piece. They're only half the puzzle. We need the other part. We need to bring ourselves back into equilibrium, back into wholeness, by recognizing that we are both light and dark, and that does not make us bad. That makes us whole. It makes us more of who we are. And beginning to bring these pieces into harmony is how we begin to live a life more deeply and integrally aligned with who we are, deep down, with the original assignment, with who we came here to be, with what we came here to create. Okay? I know it may feel like I've been yelling at you and lecturing you. And if it does feel like that, I apologize, but please take this as some tough love, because these were things I deeply felt I needed to say. And this is the foundation for where we are headed as a community at Leanne Aligned. I want to teach you how to manifest everything you want in your life. I want to teach you how to step deeper into who you are. I want to teach you to take back your fucking power and rock it. But I need you to arrive with the willingness to look at the parts of yourself that you have deemed unworthy, that you have deemed wrong, and that are no longer serving you, and not shun them and put them in a corner, but rather bring them to light, to be healed and to be put back into the conversation, so that all of us can move forward towards our desires. I'm going to leave you there. I feel complete for now. Thank you so much for spending your time with me. If anything I said today blew your fucking socks off, please share it. Please share this episode with someone you think that could benefit from it. Share a quote on your Instagram or in the comments under this on YouTube. Give me a 5-star review. However you would like to interact with this content to put more of that positive momentum behind it so that we can all collectively move forward together, I would be so grateful. I cannot wait to hear what comes after this. I cannot wait to take you on the journey with me into the fall, and I can't wait to see who's with me and ready to go into some deep ass shit so we can rise even higher together. Fully aligned. I'll see you guys next time.